I should have known something was wrong when Derek stopped coming to family dinners. But denial is a powerful drug, and I was its most devoted addict. My name is Tori, and I'm about to tell you how I orchestrated the sweetest revenge against my soon-to-be ex-husband. But let's start at the beginning. Specifically, last month's disaster of a family dinner. He's working late again? My mother-in-law Susan's voice dripped with disapproval as she passed the mashed potatoes. That's the third time this month, isn't it, Tori? I forced a smile, gripping my wine glass a little tighter. The Morgan account is demanding. You know how it is in finance. Do we? My sister Leah smirked from across the table. Some of us wouldn't know about high-powered careers, would we? The familiar jab stung, but I kept my composure. 10 years of building my business from scratch had taught me plenty about keeping a poker face. How's the job search going, Leah? Ladies, Jayla, my best friend and attorney, cut in smoothly. The food's getting cold. I shot her a grateful look. Having her there made these monthly dinners bearable, especially with Derek's increasing absences. She'd been my rock since college, the only person who truly knew what was happening behind my carefully maintained facade. Well, I think it's wonderful that Derek is so dedicated to his work, Susan continued, buttering her roll with precise, aggressive strokes. Though I do worry about the strain on your marriage, dear. A man needs attention, you know. I nearly choked on my wine. Derek hadn't needed my attention in months, not since I'd started making partner money while his career stagnated. But I smiled again, the way I always did. We manage. Do you? Leah's eyes gleamed with something I couldn't quite read. Because I saw Derek last week at La Marina, and he seemed pretty stressed. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. La Marina? He told me he was in Chicago last week. The table fell silent. Jayla's hand found my knee under the table, squeezing gently. Oh, did I say last week? Leah backtracked quickly. I must be confused. You know how days blur together when you're job hunting. Later that night, after enduring 2 more hours of pointed comments and thinly veiled criticism, I sat in my home office, staring at Derek's credit card statement. La Marina, 287s, Tiffany & Co., 3,450. The Waldorf, 725. You need to see this, I texted Jayla, attaching photos of the statement. Her response was immediate. Check his phone. I hesitated. In 12 years of marriage, I'd never snooped through Derek's things. But something had shifted, like the first tremor before an earthquake. His phone was charging in the kitchen. He'd be at the gym for at least another hour. His new routine, ever since he'd started working late. The passcode hadn't changed since our anniversary. 1214. There it was, in his calendar. Freedom Party, 8 p.m., the Waldorf. 2 weeks from now. My hand shook as I scrolled through his messages. A thread with someone saved as R caught my eye. R. Can't wait for the party. She has no idea? Derek. Clueless as always. Too busy with her precious business to notice anything. R. You're sure about the prenup? Derek. Trust me, baby. She'll never see it coming. I took screenshots, sending them to Jayla with trembling fingers. Her response came seconds later. Don't confront him. Come to my office first thing tomorrow. And Tori, remember who you are. You didn't build an empire by being stupid. I heard the garage door opening. Derek was home early. Quickly, I replaced his phone exactly as I'd found it and wiped my eyes. Hey, babe, he called out, his footsteps approaching the kitchen. Sorry I missed dinner. How was it? I turned to face him, studying the man I'd loved for 12 years. His gym bag was designer, bought with my money. His smile was practiced, perfected in boardrooms where he'd never quite succeeded. And his eyes, they were exactly like his mother's, cold and calculating beneath a veneer of warmth. Oh, you know, I said, my voice steady. Same as always. He kissed my cheek, and I caught a whiff of unfamiliar perfume. That's my girl. Predictable as ever. As he headed upstairs to shower, I touched my cheek where his lips had been. Predictable. Clueless. The words echoed in my mind, along with Jayla's reminder. I hadn't built an empire by being stupid. And Derek? He was about to learn exactly how unpredictable I could be. "Tell me you have everything ready," I said, pacing Jayla's office the next morning. The city sprawled below us, a maze of possibilities and escape routes. "Better than ready," Jayla replied, spreading documents across her desk. "Remember that ironclad prenup he insisted on? The one that was supposed to protect his family assets?" I nodded, remembering Derek's smug face as he'd presented it. He'd been so concerned about protecting his theoretical future wealth. "Well," Jayla continued, "that little clause about joint business ventures, the one he didn't read carefully, it means everything you two built together is legally yours, including that fancy new bachelor pad he just leased." "He what?" "Oh, yes." Jayla's smile was razor-sharp. "The Waldorf residences. Guess who owns the management company? Your shell corporation. He's literally paying rent to you." I sank into the leather chair, processing this information. "How long have you known about the apartment?" "A week. I wanted to verify everything before—" My phone buzzed. Derek's face flashed on the screen. "Take it," Jayla mouthed. "Remember, play dumb." "Hi, honey," I answered, forcing cheerfulness into my voice. "We need to talk." His tone was cold, businesslike. "Meet me at La Marina for lunch." Of course. La Marina, where Leah had seen him. "I have meetings all afternoon." "Cancel them. This is important." He hung up. Jayla raised an eyebrow. "Ready to hear his version of the truth?" "No," I admitted. "But I'm ready to act like I am." La Marina was quiet for lunch hour. Derek sat at our usual table, the one with the harbor view. He didn't stand when I approached. "You're late," he said, not looking up from his phone. "Traffic." I settled into my chair, noting the empty wine glass in front of him. "What's so important?" He finally looked at me, his expression practiced. "This isn't working anymore, Tori." "What isn't?" "Us. This marriage. You're not the woman I married." I thought about the perfume on his collar, the secret apartment, the Freedom Party invitation. "How so?" "You're boring," he said flatly. "All you care about is work. When's the last time we did anything spontaneous? When's the last time you put me first?" The waiter approached. Derek waved him away without looking. "Put you first," I repeated. "Like paying for your MBA or investing in your failed startup." His jaw tightened. "That's exactly what I mean. You're always keeping score, always making me feel small because you're the successful one." "Derek, I want a divorce." He pulled an envelope from his jacket. "My lawyer drew these up. You'll find the terms very generous, considering your humble beginnings." I didn't touch the envelope. "Is there someone else?" He had the grace to hesitate. "That's not important." "Is it Ramona from accounting?" His head snapped up. "How did you—" "Lucky guess." I stood, smoothing my skirt. "You should know something, Derek, about that party you're planning." "What party?" "The Freedom Party at the Waldorf? The one where you and Ramona plan to announce your relationship? Very creative venue choice, by the way. How are you liking the apartment?" The color drained from his face. "How did you— Oh, and those divorce papers?" I nodded at the envelope. "You might want to have your lawyer review the prenup again, carefully this time." "You bitch," he whispered. "You've been planning this." "No, Derek, you have. I'm just better at the game." I turned to leave, then paused. "By the way, your mother called. She's looking forward to the party. Shame I won't be there to see her face when she realizes her perfect son is about to become the poorest divorcee in Manhattan." His chair scraped back. "You can't do this to me." "Actually, I can, and I will." I met his eyes one last time. "You should have read the fine print, honey. But then again, you always were better at spending money than making it." My phone buzzed as I left the restaurant. A text from Leah. Derek just called. We need to talk. I showed the message to Jayla when I returned to her office. Your sister's playing both sides, she said, frowning. Be careful. I know. I stared out at the city again, feeling the weight of what was coming. But first, let's make sure everything's in place for the party. I want it to be memorable. It will be, Jayla promised, pulling out another stack of documents. Trust me, by the time we're done, Derek won't know what hit him. I thought about his face when I mentioned the prenup, the flash of fear in his eyes. It was just the beginning. The real show hadn't even started yet. Good, I said, because I'm done being predictable. I should have seen it coming years ago, I told Fabian over coffee. Derek's old college friend had reached out wanting to meet. Remember that startup he wanted to launch? Fabian nodded, stirring his latte. The cryptocurrency trading platform? Yeah, that was something. He burned through half our savings in 3 months. When I questioned him about it, he said I was stifling his potential. I laughed bitterly. Meanwhile, he was taking Ramona to 5-star hotels on my dime. Look, Tori. Fabian leaned forward, lowering his voice. There's something you should know. The affair. It's been going on longer than you think, and it wasn't exactly a secret. My hand froze around my cup. How long? At least a year. Maybe more. He wouldn't meet my eyes. We all saw them together at office parties, charity events. Everyone just assumed you knew. Assumed I knew my husband was parading his mistress around like a trophy? The coffee turned sour in my mouth. And no one thought to tell me? Derek said you were too absorbed in your business to care. That you had an arrangement. I thought about all those networking events I'd missed, the late nights at the office building my company while Derek apparently built his new life. An arrangement. Right. My phone buzzed. Another text from Leah. Seriously, we need to talk. It's about Derek's finances. Your sister's been asking questions, Fabian said, eyeing my phone, about the company structure, ownership details. Derek's been pumping her for information. The pieces clicked into place. How do you know that? Because I overheard them at the plaza last week. Leah was showing him documents, company papers, I think. Said she'd found a way around the prenup. My own sister. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. I'm sorry, Tori. I should have told you sooner. Fabian reached across the table, but I pulled my hand away. No, I'm glad you told me now, while there's still time to act. I stood up, dropping cash on the table. I need to make some calls. Back at my office, I found Jayla waiting with Kimberly, my business partner. We have a problem, Kimberly said without preamble. Someone accessed our secure servers last night. They were looking at ownership documents, transfer records. Leah, I said. She's helping Derek try to break the prenup. That little snake, Jayla hissed. Want me to shut down her access? I shook my head. No. Let her think she's helping him. In fact, a plan began forming. Let's give her something to find. Something that'll make Derek very, very confident. You're thinking about the shell company? Kimberly asked. Exactly. Make it look like there's a loophole. Something obvious enough for them to find, but not obvious enough to make them suspicious. Jayla's smile was wicked. A trap. Precisely. I pulled up my calendar. The Freedom Party is in 3 days. That's plenty of time for them to discover our fake vulnerability and plan their move. My phone buzzed again. Derek this time. We need to discuss settlement terms. Dinner tonight? He's getting nervous, Jayla observed. Good. I typed a quick reply. Can't tonight. Business dinner. Ask Ramona instead. Savage, Kimberly laughed. Speaking of savage, Jayla pulled out her tablet. Wait until you see what I found in Derek's private email. Seems he's been promising Ramona quite a lifestyle on your dime. The emails were nauseating. Promises of luxury vacations, a penthouse apartment, even a ring from Tiffany's, all funded by what he expected to get in the divorce. He really thinks he's going to win this, I marveled. Men like Derek always do, Kimberly said. They mistake our patience for weakness. My phone lit up with another message, this time from Susan. Derek tells me you're being difficult about the divorce. Don't make this uglier than it needs to be. I showed the others. His mother's involved now. Of course she is, Jayla snorted. She never thought you were good enough for her precious son. Well, I said, standing to look out at the city I'd worked so hard to conquer, she's about to find out exactly how good I am at everything. The sun was setting, painting the skyline in shades of gold and red. Somewhere out there, Derek and Leah were probably congratulating themselves on outsmarting me. Ramona was likely shopping for her victory outfit, and Susan was undoubtedly planning how to spin this all in Derek's favor. Let them plan, let them scheme. In 3 days, they'd learn what happens when you underestimate the woman who built an empire from nothing. Ladies, I turned back to my friends, my allies. Let's give them a party they'll never forget. I found Leah exactly where I expected, in our childhood cafe, nursing a latte she probably couldn't afford. Her eyes widened when she saw me, guilt flashing across her face before she could hide it. Finally decided to answer my texts? She asked, trying to sound casual. Finally decided to tell me why you're helping Derek steal my company? I countered, sliding into the booth across from her. She flinched. Tori, it's not what you think. Really? Because I think my sister accessed confidential business documents and shared them with my cheating husband. I think she's been meeting him at the plaza, plotting ways to break my prenup. I leaned forward. Please, tell me what part I'm misunderstanding. He said he'd help me, Leah whispered. Said once the divorce was settled, he'd invest in my business idea. I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. And you believed him? The man who couldn't even keep his own startup afloat? At least he believed in me. Leah's voice cracked. You've never supported my dreams. You're always so perfect, so successful, looking down on me. I paid your rent for 2 years. I cut in. I funded your lifestyle coaching certification, your yoga teacher training, your crystal healing workshop. Every half-baked scheme you came up with, I supported. And this is how you repay me? You don't understand. My phone buzzed. A text from Ramona. Hope you're ready for Saturday night. Derek can't wait to show everyone who the real winner is. I showed it to Leah. Your new best friend seems confident. She paled. Tori, please. I needed the money. Derek promised. How much? When she didn't answer, I pressed harder. How much did my husband pay my sister to betray me? 20,000, she whispered. Plus a stake in his new venture after. After he takes everything from me? I pulled out my checkbook. Well, here's your 30 pieces of silver, Judas. I wrote the check slowly, deliberately. $20,000. Consider it the last thing you'll ever get from me. Tori, don't be like this. Like what? A bitter, vengeful bitch? I stood up. You know what's funny? I actually plan to give you a position in my new expansion. Real responsibility, real money. Guess Derek's empty promises seemed better than your sister's real ones. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm sorry, I didn't think. No, you didn't. And now you never will. I dropped the check on the table. Goodbye, Leah. Outside, my phone buzzed again. Derek. Your sister's been very helpful. Ready to discuss reasonable settlement terms yet? I showed the message to Jayla when I reached her office. They really think they've won. Perfect. She handed me a stack of papers. The eviction notice is ready, and wait until you see what we found in the Waldorf security footage. The video showed Derek and Ramona entering his apartment, her giggling as he fumbled with the key. The timestamp was from 2 nights ago. That's the night he told me he was meeting investors in Boston, I said. Gets better, Jayla fast-forwarded. Watch who visits them an hour later. My mother-in-law's distinctive figure appeared on screen, carrying what looked like shopping bags. Susan's been helping them furnish the love nest, Jayla explained. Using your joint credit card, of course. I thought about all the family dinners, Susan's disapproving looks, her constant criticism. She knew. This whole time, she knew. Everyone knew, honey. They just didn't expect you to fight back. My phone lit up with another text, this time from Ramona. Better start packing your office. Derek says we're taking the company too. Nothing personal, just business. She's getting cocky, Jayla observed. Let her. I picked up the eviction notice. The higher they climb, the harder they fall, Jayla finished. Speaking of falling, your sisters probably told them about the vulnerability we planted by now. Good. I checked my watch. The Freedom Party's tomorrow night. Everything ready? Process servers booked, security's been briefed, and wait until you see what Kimberly did with the ownership transfers. I smiled, thinking of Derek's face when he realized just how thoroughly he'd been outplayed. Tomorrow night, then. Tomorrow night, Jayla agreed. Want to grab a drink? You look like you could use one. I shook my head. No. I need to be clear-headed. Besides, I held up my phone, showing the latest text from Derek. Hope you're ready to lose everything you built. Should have been a better wife. I want to remember every detail of what's coming next. The day before the Freedom Party, I sat in my office reviewing the final preparations with Kimberly and Jayla. The city lights twinkled below, a reminder of everything I'd built, everything Derek thought he could take. Process server confirmed for 9 p.m., Jayla said, checking her tablet, right after Derek's big speech. Security cameras? I asked. All angles covered, Kimberly assured me. Every delicious moment of his downfall will be captured in HD. My phone buzzed. Susan calling. I put it on speaker. Tori, darling, her voice dripped honey-coated venom. I hope you're not planning anything unfortunate for tomorrow night. Like what, Susan? Like helping my husband move his mistress into an apartment I own? Silence. Then, he told me you've been difficult about the divorce. It's not becoming, dear. Sometimes we must accept when we're not enough for someone. Funny, I replied. I was just thinking the same about Derek. How's the furniture shopping going? That joint credit card must be getting quite a workout. The line went dead. God, I hate that woman, Kimberly muttered. Another buzz, a text from Ramona. Bought the perfect dress for tomorrow. Red, Derek's favorite color. Hope you're not too heartbroken about missing the party of the year. I showed it to the others. She's getting bolder. They all are, Jayla said. Fabian called. Derek's been bragging at the office about how he's going to take control of your company. Says he found a fatal flaw in your ownership structure. Perfect, I smiled. They took the bait. My phone lit up again. Leah this time. Please talk to me. You don't understand what Derek promised. Delete, I told Siri. And block number. Your sister's still trying? Kimberly asked. She can try all she wants. Family doesn't betray family. I stood up, walking to the window. Any word from the private investigator? Jayla pulled up another file. Oh yes, you're going to love this. Seems Ramona's been busy with more than just Derek. We found hotel receipts, photos. The evidence was damning. Ramona hadn't just been seeing Derek. She'd been playing her own game, dating 3 other executives from competing firms. Send it to my secure email, I said. Insurance, in case tomorrow doesn't go as planned. It will, Kimberly assured me. The ownership transfer is complete. Everything's in your name now. The company, the properties, even his precious Porsche. Speaking of properties, Jayla added, the Waldorf Management Company confirmed receipt of the eviction notice. The moment we serve him tomorrow, they'll change the locks. My phone buzzed one more time. Derek. Last chance to settle this quietly. Don't make me destroy you in front of everyone. I thought about our first date, 12 years ago. How charming he'd been. How ambitious. When had that ambition turned to entitlement? When had his charm become manipulation? Tori? Kimberly's voice pulled me back. You okay? Better than okay. I typed a reply to Derek. Looking forward to seeing what you've got planned. Break a leg. You're not having second thoughts, are you? Jayla asked. No. I turned back to them. But I want to make one thing clear. Tomorrow isn't just about revenge. It's about justice. For every woman who's been told she's not enough. For every wife who's been gaslighted. For every sister who's been manipulated. Preach! Kimberly raised her coffee cup in salute. A final text came through, this one from Susan. You'll regret this, Tori. No one humiliates my son and gets away with it. I showed it to my friends. Should we tell her? Nah, Jayla grinned. Let her find out with everyone else. Tomorrow then, I said, gathering my things. Everything changes tomorrow. Want company tonight? Kimberly offered. We could order in, go over the plan again. I shook my head. No, I need to be alone. Need to remember why I'm doing this. As I drove home, past the Waldorf where Derek and Ramona were probably celebrating their premature victory, I thought about everything that had led to this moment. The late nights I'd worked while Derek partied, the investments I'd made while he squandered, the empire I'd built while he plotted to steal it. Tomorrow they'd all learn what happens when you underestimate a woman who's been pushed too far. Tomorrow karma would finally collect its debt, and I would be there to watch every glorious second of it. The Waldorf ballroom sparkled with champagne flutes and false smiles. From my position at the bar, disguised in a dark wig and designer sunglasses, I watched Derek work the room like a cut-rate politician. You good? Fabian whispered, pretending to check his phone beside me. Perfect, I replied, sipping water from a martini glass. How long until his speech? 20 minutes. Ramona's getting antsy. She keeps checking her phone. As if on cue, Ramona sashayed past in a skin-tight red dress, practically draped over Derek's arm. My mother-in-law Susan followed them like a proud hen, shooting smug looks at various guests. There's your sister, Fabian nodded toward the corner. Leah stood alone, clutching her champagne like a lifeline, watching Derek with desperate hope. Target acquired, Jayla's voice came through my earpiece. Process server is in position. The room hushed as Derek clinked his glass, mounting the small stage. Ramona positioned herself front and center, beaming up at him. My stomach turned. Friends, family, colleagues, Derek began, his voice carrying that fake warmth I'd grown to hate. Thank you for joining me on this special night. A night of new beginnings. Scattered applause. I noticed several of his colleagues shifting uncomfortably. Some of you might have heard rumors about changes in my life. He paused for effect. Well, I'm here to confirm them. I'm starting a new chapter, with someone who truly appreciates me. Ramona preened. Susan dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief. But first, Derek's smile turned predatory. I want to address the elephant not in the room, my soon-to-be ex-wife, Tori. The crowd murmured. I gripped my glass tighter. Tori thought she could control me with her money, her success. He chuckled. What she didn't know was that I've been 10 steps ahead this whole time. By tomorrow morning, I'll own everything she built, and she'll learn what happens when you try to cage a lion. Now, Jayla whispered in my earpiece. The process server stepped forward, legal documents in hand. Mr. Derek Morrison? Derek's smile faltered. I'm in the middle of something. You've been served. The server thrust the papers forward. This is an eviction notice for the Waldorf residence, effective immediately. And this, he produced another stack. This is notification of asset seizure under prenuptial agreement clause 7.3. The room went dead silent. Derek snatched the papers, face reddening as he scanned them. This is impossible, he sputtered. The prenup is ironclad, I said, standing and removing my sunglasses. Just not in the way you thought. The crowd parted as I walked toward the stage. Ramona's smug smile crumpled. Susan looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. You see, Derek, I continued, my voice carrying in the silence. While you were busy playing house with Ramona, I was protecting what's mine. Every property, every account, every asset, they're all legally mine, including this apartment. You bitch, he hissed. You planned this. Oh, and Ramona? I turned to his mistress. You might want to check your phone. Those photos of you with James from Morgan Stanley just leaked. And Michael from Goldman. And what was that other executive's name? Thomas? Ramona's face went white. She fumbled for her phone, then let out a small shriek. You can't do this! Derek stepped toward me, but Fabian moved between us. I found the loophole. Leah showed me. The loophole we planted? I laughed. The one we knew your greed wouldn't let you resist? Face it, Derek, you lost. Susan. Derek turned to his mother. Tell her she can't. Actually, Mrs. Morrison, I cut in, you might want to explain those credit card charges to your husband. I'm sure he'd love to know how you helped furnish your son's love nest. Susan's face crumpled. Across the room, Leah started crying. Security will help you pack, I told Derek. You have 1 hour. After that, anything left belongs to me, just like everything else you thought you could take. This isn't over, he growled. Actually, it is. I raised my voice to address the room. The party's over, everyone. Though I guess it really was a freedom party after all. Just not the kind Derek planned. As security approached and the guests began filing out, I caught Derek's eye one last time. Oh, and honey, you're not a lion. You're just another man who mistook his wife's patience for weakness. I turned away as Derek was escorted out, Ramona trailing behind him in tears, Susan trying to salvage what dignity she had left. Damn, Fabian whispered. Remind me never to cross you. I watched my husband's retreating back, feeling strangely empty. Let's go. I need a real drink. But as we left, I couldn't help noticing how the city lights seemed brighter somehow. Like they knew that tonight, justice had finally been served. To karma. Jayla raised her glass at our favorite rooftop bar, an hour after the party's implosion. To karma, we echoed, but my victory champagne tasted flat. Did you see Susan's face when you mentioned the credit cards? Kimberly laughed. I thought she was going to faint. My phone buzzed. Another message from Derek. You've ruined me. I hope you're happy. Block him, Jayla advised, catching my expression. It's over. Before I could, another text came through. Your sister's crying in my lobby. Real classy, Tori. Destroying your whole family just to win. Block them all, I said, handing my phone to Jayla. I'm done. Mrs. Morrison, a voice called from across the bar. We turned to see one of Derek's colleagues approaching, clearly tipsy. That was something else. Just Tori now, I corrected him. Right. He swayed slightly. Listen, about the Morgan account. Since Derek's out. Really? Jayla stepped between us. You want to talk business now? No, he doesn't, a familiar voice cut in. Fabian appeared, steering the drunk colleague away. Sorry about that. They're like vultures. Speaking of vultures, Kimberly nodded toward the entrance. Ramona had just stumbled in, mascara streaked down her face. Oh God, I muttered. I can't deal with— Please, Ramona hurried over. Just 5 minutes. I looked at my friends. Jayla shrugged. Your call? 5 minutes, I agreed. Outside. On the terrace, Ramona lit a cigarette with shaking hands. I didn't know about the others. The other men you were seeing? No, she inhaled deeply. The other women. Before me. Derek. He had a pattern. That hit like a punch to the gut. What? His last job? He didn't leave voluntarily. There was a harassment claim, and before that— She pulled out her phone, showing me emails. These started coming in after the photos leaked. Other women, other stories. I read quickly, my stomach churning. Derek hadn't just been unfaithful. He'd been predatory. Using his position, his charm, his connections to manipulate younger women in the industry. Why are you showing me this? Because, Ramona's voice cracked. I thought I was special, thought I was different, but I was just convenient and stupid. You were both, I agreed, but so was I once. He's at the Marquis now, she continued, Drinking, making calls, trying to salvage something, but the emails, they keep coming. More women, more stories. My phone buzzed in Jayla's hand inside. She came out, face grim. Susan's at the office, making threats. Of course she is. I turned back to Ramona. Send me those emails, all of them. Already did. Check your work account. She stubbed out her cigarette. I'm leaving the city. Starting over somewhere else. Just watch your back. He's not done. After she left, Jayla showed me Susan's message. You think you've won? Wait until the board hears about your mental instability, your drinking problem, your embezzlement. She's trying to save him, Jayla said. No, I replied. She's trying to save herself. Call security. Have them escort her out. Inside, Kimberly was on her phone, expression worried. Stock's taking a hit. Market doesn't like scandals. It'll recover, I said, but uncertainty gnawed at me. Had I gone too far? Destroyed too much? My phone lit up again. Leah. Mom's in the hospital. Stress attack. Thanks a lot, sis. Jesus, Jayla muttered, reading over my shoulder. Your family's really pushing the guilt buttons. Because it's working, I admitted. I wanted revenge on Derek, but look at the collateral damage. Leah, Mom, the company. Hey, Kimberly grabbed my shoulders. He did this, all of it. The lies, the other women, the manipulation, that was him. You just exposed it. Besides, Jayla added, those emails Ramona sent? They're gold. Legal's already talking class action. I thought about all the other women. Their stories now flooding my inbox. Each one thinking she was special. Each one discarded when Derek found his next target. You're right. I straightened up. Send everything to legal. And call PR. We're getting ahead of this narrative. That's my girl, Kimberly smiled. Now, about Susan. Let her make her threats, I said. I've got board meeting recordings of Derek admitting to cooking books. Let's see how she handles that scandal. As my friends coordinated our next moves, I watched the city lights flicker below. The victory felt different now, less sweet, more necessary. This wasn't just about my revenge anymore. It was about every woman Derek had hurt, every lie Susan had covered up. And I was just getting started. The morning sun streamed through my office windows as I reviewed the final settlement papers. Derek's signature looked shaky, desperate, just like his last attempt to salvage something from the wreckage of his life. He signed everything, Jayla confirmed, collecting the documents. No contests, no claims. It's done. My phone buzzed. A news alert. Another woman had come forward, this time with evidence of Derek's misconduct at his first job. The story had grown beyond me, beyond our marriage, becoming something larger and more important. Tori? My assistant poked her head in. Your sister's here. I almost said no, almost told her to send Leah away, but something in my chest had softened since the party, since reading all those women's stories. Send her in. Leah looked different, sharper, more focused. She carried a folder and wore a proper business suit instead of her usual bohemian style. Before you throw me out, she said quickly, I have something you need to see. She laid out documents on my desk. Bank statements, emails, transaction records. What is this? Evidence. Leah's voice was steady. I didn't just help Derek because he promised me money. I helped him because I knew he was lying. I wanted proof. I scanned the papers. They showed years of financial manipulation, secret accounts, money moved through shell companies. Not mine, but Derek's and Susan's. You were investigating them? Since last year, when I overheard Susan talking about handling another complaint against Derek. Leah met my eyes. I'm not as useless as everyone thinks. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? Your flaky little sister? She smiled sadly. Besides, you needed to find your own strength, to stop protecting everyone else and fight back. My phone rang. Kimberly. Turn on the news. Now. I grabbed the remote, switching on the office TV. Susan stood outside the Morrison family offices, facing a mob of reporters. My son's actions are inexcusable, she was saying, her voice trembling. As chairwoman of the Morrison Foundation, I am announcing his removal from all positions and a full investigation into any misconduct. To the women he hurt, I am deeply sorry. Holy shit, Jayla whispered. That's not all, Leah said. Check your email. I did. There was a message from Susan, sent to me and dozens of other women. I enabled him, protected him, helped him hurt you all. No more. The foundation is yours now, Tori. Use it to help them heal. Use it for justice. She's falling on her sword, Jayla observed. She's trying to save the family legacy, I corrected. But for once, she's doing it the right way. My office door opened again. Kimberly rushed in. Board's calling an emergency meeting. They want to discuss expanding our women's leadership program. I looked at Leah, still standing awkwardly by my desk. You any good at program development? Her eyes widened. What? The foundation needs a fresh perspective, someone who understands manipulation and survival. Interested? Yes. God, yes. Good. I stood up. Because I'm done watching women tear each other down, we're going to build something better. My phone buzzed one last time. Derek. You won. Happy now? I thought about deletion, but instead typed, this was never about winning, it was about justice. Get help, Derek, be better. Then I blocked him permanently this time. Ready for the board meeting? Kimberly asked. I looked around my office, at Jayla, my fierce protector, at Kimberly, my steadfast partner, at Leah, my sister finding her strength, at the city beyond my windows, where other women were reading the news, recognizing their own stories, finding their voices. Actually, I said, I have a better idea. Call the board to the Women's Center downtown. If we're going to talk about leadership, let's do it where it matters most. As we gathered our things, Leah touched my arm. I really am sorry. For everything. I know, I squeezed her hand. Now help me make it right. For all of them. We walked out together, a team of women heading toward something bigger than revenge, bigger than justice, toward change. And for the first time since this all began, victory tasted exactly right. By the way, Jayla said as we reached the elevator, Ramona sent over more files. Turns out she's pretty good at forensic accounting. I smiled. Offer her a job. Already did. The elevator doors closed on our laughter, carrying us down and out into the bright morning, where the real work was just beginning.